In this video, we're going to be talking about 3 different reasons why you should push your comfort zone. Now, comfort zone is a very common topic in personal development because that's something that people often say that you have to push or exceed to really get the success that you want. Now, obviously, you shouldn't always do it just for the sake of doing it, because some people are comfortable with where they are in life and they're happy. Why continue to chase money or success if that's not something you need more of? So to those people, that's fine. But a lot of people, we aren't necessarily where we want to be, or we want to get something more and we're willing to pay the price. And that is where the comfort zone comes into play. So the first reason that you should consider pushing your comfort zone is because it will lead to not just greater results in the long run, but also it'll get to a point where it won't even feel uncomfortable. In fact, you might even love it. A great example is exercise. Of course, a lot of people find it unpleasant when they first go to the gym and they're bench pressing or they're doing a high intensity cardio workout. I remember that was the case for me when I started and tried out my first ever CrossFit Metcon workouts. I mean, those things get your heart beating so hard, you're breathing so fast, you can barely get enough air, your heart's burning. And maybe that's not the right form of exercise for everyone, but at first it was really tough. And then, after a few years of it, going 4 or 5 times a week, it started to get much easier. Something that was definitely challenging at first became something that was pretty routine. You go in, you do the workouts, your heart's not even beating that much, even though you're doing more weight all of a sudden. And so all of a sudden you get much healthier, and you can feel how much healthier you're getting, how your cardiovascular system is improving through this, which helps you perform better, look better, all these benefits that really just trickle down. So that's one reason why pushing your comfort zone can be very valuable. It's just how it is. And of course, you can apply this not just to exercise, but to any area of your life. Okay, tip number 2, or reason number 2 why you should push your comfort zone. Pushing your comfort zone often gets rid of unnecessary fear that holds you back or keeps you in mediocrity. Sometimes the reason you want to stay in your comfort zone is because of that fear of losing what you already have. But the truth is that oftentimes the risk of losing that is not as great as you might think it is. And of course, I'm guilty of this just like everyone else, of just kind of staying in that place. The simplest example would be when I would wake up in the mornings when I would go to school. I know there's a lot of students watching this who want to improve their grades, and have you ever been in that situation where you wake up and it's winter and the blankets make you feel so warm, but you have to pull off the blankets and it'll get super, super cold, and then you have to bear with that cold at least for a couple minutes until you can get some thick clothes on and go to school. I experienced that many times, and you had to push that willpower through. For my household, at least, we didn't always have the heating system going really high at all times to stay warm all the time. And plus, we had those thick blankets to help us anyway, so we didn't want it too hot. So that's just a small example, but that same mentality happens on a bigger level for many reasons. Some people have just felt so comfortable with staying in their room and not exercising that they build it up in their head that exercise is this crazy difficult thing, when in reality it's usually a lot less traumatic or crazy than they think. I mean, there's, especially when you're starting out, you just want to do a simple workout anyways to begin with. So it might even just be a 5 or 10 minute circuit training thing, which isn't going to be that intense. But they build it up in their head because they've been so far gone from it that fear really is unrealistic, but they believe it. The same thing applies to anything that grasps you with fear and keeps you in your comfort zone. Some people may be thinking, oh, I have a decent life. It's not great, but it's decent enough. Got the decent apartment, and sure, there's rats, but it's decent enough. It has hot water, it's clean, all this stuff. And they stay there because it's decent rather than taking that risk that might get them to somewhere else. Maybe it's moving to another city, which could be risky because they would lose the decent place they have now and maybe find a place that's even worse. But what if it's even better there or the same there? Or there's maybe less rats in the new city you go to or something, and more opportunity for your career. Same thing applies for whatever it is you're doing. You know, if you're in school, that internship in another state, maybe it's risky or uncomfortable because maybe you have to fly there to do it, or you're talking virtually with these executives from a different place. It may be uncomfortable because you're scared. Maybe you're gonna lose the internship because you can't perform, or maybe it's one of those in-person internships where you're away from your family and you don't know what's going to go wrong, if you're going to get robbed or killed. Who knows? But usually, you know, if you can look at the data, you can look at the stats, there's something you can do to at least dip your toe in the water or ease your fears. Usually after the first day, the first week, you're like, okay, it's actually a lot safer than I thought. Oh, wow, this place is actually a lot better. So a lot easier said than done, but a second reason why pushing your comfort zone could potentially be helpful. And tip number 3, staying in your comfort zone at all times leads to complacency, which means plateaued performance. Like I said, CrossFit was something that was definitely very intimidating when I first started it. The workouts were crazy, some would say hardcore, and of course, you know, a lot of people end up quitting there. I saw a lot of people after one workout a week, they were just kind of so sore and they couldn't take it and they quit. For me, for whatever reason, I recovered very quickly and I took on a lot more, and you know, I stuck with it. And all of a sudden, after many years, I would say about 4.5 maybe, the workouts have gotten to a point where it's just routine for me. And so that's something that is now just become my norm. Now, if I stay there, then that'll just be it. You know, I'll keep moving forward in these ways. But if there are areas that I continue to seek discomfort in, that I want to grow, let's say, you know, maybe it's not fitness, maybe it's the performance on my YouTube channels. And here's an actual real example. I'm thinking about purchasing and finally learning Photoshop to make better YouTube thumbnails. It's something that I've been avoiding for years and years because it sucks. You know, I don't like learning these things. They're just too technical. But that's what's going to matter when you want to succeed. You know, there's going to be things that were uncomfortable that become comfortable over time. And you can just sit there, you see this period of growth, and then you plateau. Everything's just routine, and it may even get boring. And if you stay there, you know, you may still grow, but there's definitely other areas where you could continue to grow that if you don't seek those out, you're not going to see the growth or the change that you want. It's just going to be same old of the same thing for more years to come. So if you don't want that, and I believe that many people don't, because man, is it boring to just see the same thing over and over again, to lose that feeling of, wow, this is challenging, man, this is difficult, I'm scared a little bit, but it's exciting, it's new, who knows what the possibilities are, as I first felt when I first started CrossFit. Now, you know, I could potentially channel that into Photoshop, and rather than thinking of it as, man, this really sucks, it's cumbersome, I gotta learn this new tool just to make epic thumbnails, it's gonna take a long time, it's a hassle. I could say, hey, this is uncomfortable for me, but the end result, the progress could lead to a potential big jump on my subscribers, my views, or just my overall performance with these videos. So there you have it. There are 3 reasons, you know, plateauing, and growing, and eliminating fear, about why you should always keep considering where you are with your comfort zone and pushing that. Of course, you know, as I said at the beginning, there's some people who are fine with where their life is. They have a perfect family, perfect income, or perfect grades, and there's no reason to change. They don't need a higher level of money. And I think that's all the more power to you. Go for it. That's totally fine. But for those of us who still want to succeed or still want to strive to greater lanes, you got to push that comfort zone, because usually, I mean, of course, there's cases where it's not, but usually it's safer than you think. Obviously, bungee jumping without a rope, probably not something you want to do to push your comfort zone. But there are things that you can do that can really add to that level of growth that we're all looking for. I mean, just think about any area of life that you care about. There's always going to be bumps and things that hold you back because they're uncomfortable, they're foreign, or they bring fear. I mean, in previous videos I mentioned I'm taking the Dream Job course by I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It's a top personal finance company. And in the course, they have you do things that are uncomfortable, unusual, things that I haven't done before. And it's weird at first. You're like, man, this isn't going to work. This is going to be weird. But if you follow a system where people more experienced know what they're doing, you'd be surprised sometimes at the results. And usually, worst case outcome is they just ignore your message or say no. There's stuff in the course where you're really reaching out and trying to form a real relationship with other professionals and network and learn and build. That's an easy way to kind of grow or not grow by just saying, oh, I'm not going to do that. That's not comfortable. But that's one way you can really get ahead. Oftentimes, these things that you're scared of, consult with an expert, consult with someone who's been there and succeeded, whether that's, finding a dream job or creating a career through interning, or someone who's already gone through the same internship you have and done it. You can consult with them, learn from them, pick their brain, and you may discover it's not as scary as you think. So hopefully this video helps. I'll see you later.